What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at St. Vitus with the almighty Byzantine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
We are here with the OG, which is OJ of Byzantine.
I like that. Good play on words.
I just came up with that right now.
I know. That's great.
But the Cicada Tree is now officially out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say that it was beautifully done, well produced and everything. For you, how was the recording and the record cycle been?
It's been pretty well. We tend to not tour that much because we're kind of domesticated cats. So we'll go out and play a little bit and then come home, work our day jobs and stuff, and then go out and do regional shows. We're getting ready to ramp it back up come this spring and summer. Metalblade, who's our record label, they kind of give us a little bit longer window to work on an album.
Shout out to Brian.
Yeah, shout out to Brian and Tracy Vera.
Yep.
She's kind of the lady behind everything. But the recording of the album was fantastic. We had a really good time. We worked with our longtime engineer and producer Jay Hannon, who's done the previous two Byzantine albums. Jay is a New York guy. He was in a band called Gizmachi back in the day.
Okay.
So it was really fun recording it. The pressure was on because it's our first album with Metalblade, but it was our sixth album. So we were kind of back at the big kids table. We had to really prove ourselves. So we tried to give them something we thought that was covered all the Byzantine bases. You know, heavy, melodic, emotional. You know, without being emo.
Definitely, definitely had all those elements there. But, you know, you kind of just led me into the next question, because one thing I was curious about is there was a lot of diversity on this record. A song like Map of the Creator is very different from the title track, Cicada Tree. You have heavier elements, some progressive elements. Was that like a decision you had going into the studio, or did that just kind of happen subconsciously?
At this point, it's kind of autopilot. You know, 6 albums in, I do the majority of the writing now. So now I feel really free to be able to kind of experiment within the confines of what Byzantine is. And our fans kind of expect us to kind of play around with stuff. So that's kind of liberating, because I can sit down in front of the computer getting ready to write the album and I have no constraints. Like, I feel really good putting the Cicada Tree, the song on there, even though it's not really heavy at all. Very progressive in nature, but it kind of gives the album that up and down that our fans are kind of expecting.
And can bring in some new fans, too.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, we would not be upset if we tapped into the Octane market or any of that stuff. Obviously, you know, that's where the money's at, but we're not. You know, we're not out here doing it for the money, but
liquid metal, definitely.
Yeah. Jose's been really good to us. You know, he's been really pumping us and trying to bring us to the masses. You know, they say we're a very underrated band. It's been doing it for 17 years, and we've got a cult following, but it's kind of small. So maybe the next album on Metalblade will be able to bring us to that next level.
Awesome.
We'll see.
Yeah, I could see it happening.
Thank you.
But, you know, you mentioned being in the band 17 years, kind of similar to the last question, but you said you're kind of like on autopilot. So over the years with writing new music, would you say it's gotten a little bit easier because you've been doing it for 17 years?
It has. You know, at this point, you would expect, I would expect us to not have any gas left in the tank, you know. But when we signed with Metalblade, Brian Slagle told us, he said, I really think you guys have some longevity still in you. I wouldn't tell that to a band with 5 albums. Normally you're on your decline, you know. So that gave me a lot of momentum to move forward and be like, you know what, just going to write what fucking comes out, you know. And the Cicada Tree came out and felt pretty good about it. Yeah, I feel like I had more pressure on me when we were in our 20s and nobody knew who we were. You know?
Okay.
You know, that was a lot of pressure, especially since I was younger, more immature, and didn't have the wealth of experience of life to draw upon for the songs. Now it seems to come a little easier.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that you don't tour that much, but when you did tour, I mean, I know that you've toured with Darkest Hour, you've toured with our mutual friends in Ikilia and Thy Will Be Done, and you just did a couple shows with Sacred Reich as well.
Yeah, we did a full U.S. tour with Sacred Reich. That was our first tour with behind the Cicada Tree. We've been talking to some other bigger bands this spring and summer to go out, maybe head back over to Europe. Right now, we're just trying to stay busy on the weekends. We've got this little run that we built around St. Vitus because we've been wanting to play here for a while.
And you're finally here.
And we're finally here, so we put a couple other shows to do this. We're playing a couple off Slayer dates this year, which is going to be fucking killer. The Slayer will take days off, but the other bands, Anthrax, Testament, they'll keep playing. So we're playing with Lamb of God and Behemoth in Raleigh, and then we're playing with Anthrax and Testament in Tennessee.
That sounds so brutal.
as a special guest.
That sounds brutal, and that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and that's the type of shows that I really think that we need to be on at this juncture in our career.
Well, you kind of disproved, because I've noticed that you've toured with a variety of bands. So depending on who you've been touring with, do you notice maybe a different audience or a different reaction in the crowd?
Yeah, and it's regional as well. Like when we went out on this Sacred Reich tour, we had to kind of pull back on some of the progressive tendencies and try to just put the pedal to the metal, because they had a lot of old school thrash fans, and we have some thrash, so we were able to do that. But if we go out with a Catatonia or a Gojira or Opeth, we might have to dial into a different part of our discography, and that's fine. Well, that's fun.
Well, you have the diversity in your music to do it. So if a band like Cannibal Corpse were to go out with a band like 3 Days Grace, might be a little weird, right?
Yeah, there's no connectivity going on there, but we could probably go out with a Testament or something, or a Gojira, and then turn around and go out with a Tremonti if need be.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We would not turn any of that shit down.
Definitely, definitely. Now, before we started rolling, we started nerding out on gear, and I stopped myself from talking because I wanted to include this on camera. Let's go over what are some of your weapons of choice.
Okay, right now I am endorsed by Schecter. I've been endorsed by Schecter for a while, so I'm playing a brand new Schecter Banshee, left-handed, 6-string. We do everything 6-string. Our lead guitar player plays our Ernie Ball, Music Man. We were both trying out the new Line 6 Helix LT or XT, whatever the hell it is. Yeah. It's a foot pedal that does all the MIDI switchable stuff for us. We're endorsed by crap. I just took a blank. We're endorsed by EVH for the amp heads. So, and then I use bare knuckle pickups in my guitars, which is a boutique company from England that make really good pickups.
That's interesting. And and you've mentioned that because you're both singing and playing guitar, you kind of have to have your guitar adjusted in a certain way, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, even for your stance, we can't really get in the rock stance and get super deep, because we got to sing and everything. But it's a struggle to sing and play at the same time and do it effectively. But a lot of my favorite musicians out there, like Devin Townsend, they do it very well. So I kind of look at them for inspiration.
Excellent. That guy's a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time.
No problem, man.
What else? You said you got those off dates with Behemoth and Lamb of God and Testament and Anthrax. What else could we be expecting from Byzantine on the Cicada Tree cycle?
Well, those are in June. We just shot a new music video for the title track, The Cicada Tree. That will be out probably in another month. And then we're looking to do probably a Canadian tour or a European tour at the end of the year. We would like to at least do 2 more full tours behind this album. And then I think maybe winter of this year, I'll probably start writing for the second Metalblade release.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well,
see what happens.
OJ, I want to thank you again so much for your time.
Thanks for coming out.
Of course. Everybody, the OG behind Byzantine, OJ. Be sure to pick up the Cicada Tree. It is absolutely fucking brutal. You do not want to miss it. This is Alex from Heavy New York, back at St. Vitus, and we will see you next time.